Good morning, everyone. James here, and if I can get her up on the other screen there we go. Please introduce yourself as our special guest.
I am Tina Brock, and I'm the producing artistic director at the Idiopathic Ridiculopathy Consortium.
Awesome. And we'll have our other normal guests and folks on today. Lots to talk about today. We've got the Kenosha thing. Are these all your folks, Tina? Bob, Schmidt, and Chadwick?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I'll add those folks in here. So we've got Kenosha, this 17-year-old kid. We've got... that's a big one. We've got racism in general. I always talk about it, but why are we still talking about it? And then we've got a few other things here on the card. We've got the folks that are without a home and the ruling by the federal court this yesterday, and the latent effects of redlining. Some interesting data coming out and being promoted by the folks in city council talking about heat islands in the city and why they exist. So let's jump on with you and talk about your show that you've got going on. Tell us a little bit about it.
So back in, March or April, we decided to try to make virtual a project that we had been wanting to do for a long time, and that was to literally sit down and have dinner or have a beer or a cocktail with somebody, with people in the community, that because we all get busy during our shows, and I think one of the things that lacks is communication like this, or just getting to know people. So we decided to start a weekly show Saturdays at 5, where we just do something very similar to this and just illuminate work, illuminate projects, illuminate conversations, people in the community, what they're doing, what's happening. And that was the thinking.
Cool. So your show is on the weekend?
Yeah, we're Saturdays at 5 for 50 minutes. From 5 to 6, we're on Zoom. And if you're on the IRC's mailing list, we send out an email every Wednesday, just to really give the links, give the websites, give the history, give anything the guest wants to sort of share with the audience. And a lot of people go in and they look at the information and they get ready, they check out their work, they sort of prepare themselves to get to know the person a little bit better, and then we talk for 50 minutes.
Awesome. Well, we love that around here. That's the reason this whole broadcast started. We were just interested in having conversations. We don't, like in COVID, we don't get to have conversations anymore. So I see you have a couple other guests with you, Bob and Chad Wick.
They're guys that work on, Bob's one of the founders of the IRC, and he works on the show every week, much like what you're doing right now. And Chad's our stage manager during the normal season, and he's been helping us out with the show. We tested out some things back in March when we were trying to figure out what the right platform would be for the IRC. Did it want to be sort of more entertaining? Did it want to be more illuminating? How was it going to mix with the mission of the IRC? And so, existentialism is what we do on the stage, and it's looking at existential crisis and meaning of life, and what do we do, and who are we, and why are we doing what we do, and what do we care about? And so, since the authors that write for that work, we can't tell their story. So it seemed to me like the stories of the people in our community that are having these very big existential crises right now, and all of the issues that you just laid out in the front end of the broadcast, this is the theater. I mean, these are the moments and the stories that are going to define who we are and how we create art in the days and the years to come. So it seemed like, let's tell these stories.
Yeah, absolutely. How can folks catch your broadcast or sign up to get your mailing list?
To be on? If you go over, so you can go to the IRC's website, Idiopathic Ridiculopathy Consortium.org. I mean, if you even get close to that, you'll find the website, and there's a place to sign up there on the website, or you can just go and we send a link out every week. It's a different link every week for registration. And then on Facebook Live, we stream live on Facebook, so you can come that way. And we also keep all the archived episodes over on the IRC's YouTube page, so at Idiopathic Ridiculopathy Consortium. And we're also really interested in talking to people in the community that we may not have met before. So, we'd love for you to reach out to us. Let us know, just be in touch. I think it's such an efficient way to really widen the reach and open the door and just do the work. So we're very much wanting to make connections in the community.
Awesome. I'm just going to post all your link and your show info in the chat on all the channels. We're going out live over Twitch and Mob Crush, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter via Periscope. So it's going out a few places, and luckily modern tools allow us to get that information out in a text format. So, almost knocked over my camera. Hey Jay, how's it going? You're muted. Driving as
there
usual.
We are. Still being an essential worker. Good morning.
Good morning. I've recently become an essential worker too.
You've always been essential to me, brother.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I don't know how essential I actually am. I got accused of being a good kind of hard-headed this week, so that was good.
Persistent.
Was that?
I said you're very persistent. I've always liked that about you.
Yes, that is the word that was used, was persistent. As part of my work with the Philadelphia Unemployment Project, sorry, words don't always come to me before coffee. So as part of my work with the Philadelphia Unemployment Project, I've been needling City Hall to kind of carry our message out and get the participation of city council members on broadcasts and stuff like that. And got told by one particular chief of staff that the council member isn't doing anything in public right now because they're afraid of COVID. And I was like, nah, no, I've seen that council member out in public talking to people in the street on my broadcast because they were, at certain protest events that I've definitely seen them in person. So,
Busted.
And so my coworker was carbon copied on all of this, and she's like, "Wow, I didn't think that worked that way. Like, you literally shamed them into doing something."
Aw, she's adorable.
Yeah, nope, it works that way. Sometimes you have to shame folks into doing something.
Start watching Scandal.
Scandal. I've never watched it. Have you watched Scandal, Tina?
Oh, you're talking, oh no, I haven't. I've heard people talking about it, but I've never
It's
seen
all
it.
about the ins and outs of Capitol Hill and how shady deals, and shame is on the menu. So yeah.
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely interesting. Interesting take on politics. It was a really good show. I watched the entire. I binge watched all of it a couple weeks ago.
So it's a Is it Netflix?
Oh yes, Netflix and Hulu, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shane was good.
I haven't watched it. I watched House of Cards until like the last season, and then when all this stuff with
Kevin Spacey, you bad man.
Yeah, right. Why'd you have to go and ruin a good show by being a complete and utter asshole in real life?
I have all these favorite actors that are complete freak shows. It's like, damn it, not you, Kevin. I mean, I hate to say, I literally loved him as an actor, and having all that come out, I was just like, damn, man, now I can't watch your stuff without being weird.
Right?
Well, still got Pacino. I think.
Who is it that keeps doing all the anti-RNC stuff? He keeps
De Niro.
De Niro, yeah. De Niro's
I
a good.
love that guy.
I mean, he's a good actor. So.
Oh yeah. He definitely is not a fan of the bowl of Jello that is the president right now. He doesn't like him at all.
Hopefully, he keeps he does he's not a jerk in real life.
Yeah,
I've heard that he's cool in real life when you meet him. Robert De Niro, very, very, very humble when you meet him. Like kind of soft spoken.
Yeah, they did a thing on MSNBC where he was on like something. It was, I don't know, maybe a month and a half or so ago in his home, trying to get people to, pay attention, vote, etc. And yeah, he seemed quite shy actually in the interview. Like unusual, you expect.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen any bad press on him before either.
And he's lived a lot of years, so
yeah,
you
I've been
probably
a fan
know.
forever. I've been a fan since Raging Bull, so even if it was like before my time. So I've never really seen him in bad press.
Yeah.
I know he got divorced, I think, but other than that, I don't remember seeing him in any bad press. that I can recollect. Go Bobby.
Yeah.
I participate a lot in Twitter, in leftist Twitter, and Twitter in general. And all the talk this morning is split between Kenosha, stories about Kenosha, and and after effects of the RNC. Apparently, Nikki Haley said America has never passed a law based on race.
She should Google J. Edgar Hoover.
Or literally just look at the Constitution.
Just because he couldn't stand Dr. Martin Luther King. He literally admitted that. Like, I used to make laws to get that guy. He literally said that out loud. Yeah, that's real. So I don't know where she lives at. Maybe someplace doesn't have internet or a library, but she's wrong.
Yeah, I don't know where she lives at either.
Yeah.
Have you guys watched any of it?
The RNC?
Yeah.
No.
Just clips.
It's a surreal. I mean, they have to keep coming on every 20 or so minutes to kind of fact check everything that was just said.
Who's doing the fact checking?
Well, I was watching Rachel Maddow last night, and so it's that group. I don't know who's actually fact checking it, but she made a point last night that, you know, they'll take a segment or a speaker, whether it's one of the kids or whoever it is, and then they have to, you know, you can see people running around trying to like, and there's just too much to try to rectify, so they have to go after the big stuff, you know, and just say, okay, so this didn't happen, and that's not that, and it was interesting. It's interesting. It's not interesting, but it is to watch what they have to kind of try to rectify.
Yeah.
You would think that lying that much would get exhausting at some point. Like, wouldn't you be tired of constantly having to clean things up that you're elected as a leader or whoever you're supporting is constantly lying about? Wouldn't that get exhausting? I have a friend that lies all the time, and we've been friends since I was a third grader. And I had to tell him, like, just stop lying, dude. Just stop it. Just stop. I would think it would get exhausting at some point. Like, it's 2020. We have the internet. We have
right.
resources at our fingers. We can fact check literally while you're speaking. I can say that's not true.
But doesn't it just? It almost feels like it doesn't even matter that it's not true.
I think it does matter because.
I mean, I think it certainly it does, but
I mean, nothing's going to happen to them in that sense. It doesn't matter, but it's like I still believe that. And this is weird coming from me because I'm not very patriotic. Now, the person that's supposed to be leader of the free world, it should be a person of integrity.
Oh,
should be.
Absolutely.
Should be.
Yeah, no question.
Or at least have the common decency to at least hide your racism. Like, come on, man, just give me a shot. You know what I mean, if you don't literally wear your "I support the alt-right" and Klan bandana on TV when you speak. Like, give me a little bit of credit. At least hide it from me. Don't be like a fifth grader with chocolate on his finger saying, "I didn't eat the cookie."
Yeah.
Dude, we know you ate the cookie. But I don't know.
I mean, doesn't it seem kind of incredible that there's even the percentage of people that there are that would still conceivably be going to vote for him?
No, I used to think the same thing until I started driving across this country, down south, the Midwest, and when you meet people at truck stops and, you know, you get in casual conversations, they have an undying loyalty to him, no matter how, and I hate this ugly word, how stupid he is, how is he is, this picking is sexist, racist, whatever issue you want to pick, this, whatever one he's doing this week. It doesn't matter to them. As long as he shares the common views that they share, they're going to ride with him until the wheels fall off and the entire building is burnt to the ground. And that is frightening.
Yeah,
that is tremendous. Tremendously frightening. As long as he dislikes, and I'm being nice because it's early in the morning, dislikes the same things that they dislike, it doesn't matter what he does. It doesn't matter what he says. It doesn't matter how he treats women, how he treats the working man like myself. These are the same people who defend him who have for sale signs on their farms, their equipment, their acres of land that didn't have those for sale signs up when Obama was president. And I'm not a big Obama fan either. I'm just stating the facts. Like, you have to sell everything. Now he got elected. He didn't do anything to keep his promises, and you're still loyal to him.
Well, that's what I
insane.
mean. That's what I mean.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Me and you are intelligent people. I can't answer that question. I really don't know. You cross me, we're done. That's
it is right. It's
frightening.
It's
Good morning, Cheryl. You jumped in the middle of the
Hi.
conversation.
Very, very interesting.
There she is, the lady with the awesome t-shirts.
Today's Ferrari.
T-shirt game is on 1,000. I love her t-shirt. I'm always tuning in just for the t-shirts. Good morning.
Good morning.
What's going on in your world? I heard some interesting news this morning on my news alerts that what was it? If just to summarize, basically the way the FDA is acting right now is kind of as an arm of the executive branch, and they're pushing to have some of these vaccines pushed out faster than possible, and they're kind of basically, the federal government is basically underwriting the third phase trials and not making the drug companies do them.
Wow.
Yeah, that worries me a bit. So about 10 years, maybe not 10 years ago, a little less than 10 years ago, I worked on the testing for the meningitis B vaccine. And we still had to do phase 3 testing. We had to do a certain amount of testing and show that it was effective prior to them allowing that vaccine to go on market. Even once that vaccine was on market, we still had to finish phase 3 testing and then go into phase 4. So to kind of circumvent that terrifies me, because that data is super duper important when it comes to the larger population. We have the FDA because people were kind of like doing all these, corner pharmacist type things, like, oh, well, this worked for me, try this new serum and elixir, and 1920, and here we are 2020 about to do the same thing. And it terrifies me. We have the FDA for a reason. We have these rules for a reason, and I don't know what their phase 2 data looks like, and there's not usually a lot of participants in phase 2. I do know, and I was going to sign up for one of those clinical trials. I know Moderna is looking for phase 3, 30,000 U.S. residents. I believe Pfizer is looking for 60,000. So, that as you go through the phases, you get more and more people, and you do more and more placebo and different types concurrent with other vaccines to make sure there's nothing that, can hinder it. But to kind of forego it, I don't know.
They're basically not saying they're going to forgo it. They're basically saying they're going to liability shield a rushed phase 3.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how lightning fast. I can tell you, for the meningitis B vaccine, the lightning fast was like 3 years. So to do it in less than a year, there's no, they're still enrolling patients. What kind of data are they going to have if they are planning to have some of these things out by the end of the year? They're not going to have anything.
They've always been shady. Like, my brief stint working in regulatory, and working on clinical trials and just reading over some of the documentation before it got submitted, some of the stuff that they allowed in phase 1 that got signed off on, and with like the casualty rates and the sickness rates. And you're like, this got approved? Like, yeah. Like, causes psychotic thoughts. Yeah. But she took it for a stomach ache. Yeah. Like,
Right.
stop saying yeah. Stop saying yeah.
You look at those commercials and it's like something for something so simple, but they're like, side effects are, headaches, stroke, death. We're like, wait a minute, like I just literally want this for like one tiny thing. Like, this could
I got
actually kill
into natural remedies very quickly as I began to work in clinical trials and regulatory. You have to hold me down and make me take an aspirin. I got to be really, really sick. It's a gunshot wound. I'll be okay.
Like, it's cool. It's just a mushroom. It's all good.
Good.
I mean, at least aspirin is a natural remedy, so at least there's that. But
the stuff that gets signed off on, it really is frightening. I'm sure she knows better than I do. It's frightening. I just stopped reading them. I just started doing my job. I'm not reading them no more. Like, no, I'm not. Are you in the right order? Submit.
There's definitely certain companies that I trust way more than others.
Was very
if I
naughty.
see something that was, it's made by somebody, but I know who did the testing, and I'm like, ooh, don't take that.
Testing held by Dr. Kevorkian. Oh, hell no. What? Nothing.
Doesn't it ultimately, though, undercut the whole thing? If nobody has any confidence in it, then they're not going to buy into it anyway, right? So
yeah, and that's kind of where we are with vaccines.
I mean, it's just the public relations problem, for good reason, is going to undercut it more than the effort, to get it out there. If people are like on board with it, like I don't,
I think from a lot of like my former colleagues and people, my old boss was a statistician, and she was just like, yeah, I may not take the first one. And she's like, I want to see their data. Like we're data driven, and I need to know how you got to how effective it is.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely kind of on that kick. I'm not gonna take I'm probably not gonna take the first one. I'm sorry,
I'm not taking the second or the third one. Like I'm okay. I'll wait.
I think I think I'll be okay wearing a mask and avoiding
everyone.
Avoiding people. I can do that for 3-4 years.
I can do that for 20 years, buddy. What do you got?
But yeah,
as far as public sway, unfortunately in this country there are more people than there are individuals. We're on the phone right now. We're individuals. We think, we question, we wonder. But people, you wave a carrot, they go for it. They don't even eat carrots. They're just like, oh, a carrot. We should eat that. And I wish I was lying, but I've seen some stuff over the past few years. Like, y'all really want to do that?
They're fat driven too. Like if it's the new, back in the day, ginseng, cobra, there's like a whole bunch of things. You can get people to take whatever you want if you just say, and this is why we have the FDA.
Right.
But, if they made it a fad, people would be like, oh my God, I have to get this new vaccine. Kind of like on Wall-E, blue is the new red, like change to red.
Right.
Well, I mean,
it's not a pair of Jordans. Don't take that. It's not a pair of Jordans, man. It'll really mess you up.
In pretty typical Trumpian fashion, he's kind of revealed his hand a little too early. He's already shown what he's going to do to try and push out the vaccine, which is he's gonna use legislative and legal maneuvers to try and force folks into being required to use whatever vaccine he chooses. I mean, what he's doing right now, I guarantee you this is what he's doing right now in his office. He's going like this, and he's like counting his money, and he's going... He's picking up the phone every 10 minutes or so and calling either AstraZeneca or one of the other, the CFOs of one of the other ones, and he's going, if I say nice things about your vaccine, it's going to be the one that the U.S. uses, which means it's going to be the one that the rest of the world uses. And, you know, those folks, they don't care about health. They just care about the money. Yeah. But, so we're going to see, just like with the schools, we're going to see, oh, you have to open, otherwise you're not going to get your federal money this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you're holding them for hostage. That's extortion.
Yeah.
Oh, but we know he doesn't care about laws and stuff. Like,
federal extortion is all over the place. I mean, you know, like even state extortion. I have to pay for insurance on a car that isn't mine because I drive it every once in a while.
mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
In New Jersey, every driver has to pay into an insurance fund that covers uninsured drivers. You know,
I really don't like New Jersey. You know,
Wait a minute. I mean, as a resident Jersey girl.
I like the people. I like the people, but I hate driving here, and I hate their laws. And their state troopers are off the chain.
Mm.
they are.
They are off the chain. Not all of them.
True.
I'm sure there are some nice ones. I haven't met the nice ones yet, but they're off the chain.
So like
Off the chain.
how so?
When I was driving my car when I was like 19, I just got my emission stickers, and I had to sit there and wait for like 2 hours because this state trooper was swearing my emission stickers were fakes. And I literally just came from the repair shop. So I had to track down a mechanic who I've known my entire life. He's like my great uncle. Have him come to Jersey, show the paperwork, just so they wouldn't impound my car for fake registration stickers. Which you can't even do. It's not like stolen, it's registration stickers, but they wanted me to just sit there. And I wasn't trying to get shot. So I sat there.
I got my license in New Jersey, my initial license when I was 16. I was living in Jersey, and 3.5 weeks after I got my license was the first time I was pulled over. I was pulled over for speeding on a rural road that has no speed limit. There are no speed limit signs. I don't know if any of you, the rest of you folks knows South Jersey, but South Jersey is literally the actual breadbasket of the United States. The whole Northeast gets all of its food from South Jersey. So there are all these farms and farm roads, and there are miles and miles between people and houses and buildings. It's like being in the Midwest, but with actual hills. So if you go into some parts of South Jersey, you get onto farm roads that are, I mean, now they're paved. But back when I was 16, you had a 50-50 shot of whether or not they were paved. And if they have a speed limit, it's the state speed limit. And the state speed limit for New Jersey for a rural highway is 50 miles an hour. There are no signs on these rural roads indicating speed limits. I mean, there probably are now, but this is when I was 16. So I got pulled.
You're supposed to know that?
Oh yeah, it's part of the test.
You're supposed to know that the state rural limit.
Yeah, it's part of the driving test.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it's part of the driver manual.
So you just have right. Okay.
And
so they don't have an obligation to sign it.
Yeah, and it's also posted at the entrances into New Jersey. If you've ever noticed, other than the ones from Philly, if you drive in from New York, on the Welcome to New Jersey sign, it says state speed limit.
But they don't post it on the majority of those roads on purpose, so that when you speed and you don't know it, they give you a ticket.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Right. What had happened to me was I was driving 50 because those roads aren't really safe for more than 50. I was driving maroon Buick LeSabre was the.
It's a big boy car.
Yeah. And I was going down a rural road, and it changes to 35 right before you get to a major intersection, which is also unsigned, but you're supposed to know this because you come into what is considered a residential area. So a cop pulled me over, and I think I sat there for 2.5 hours. Yeah, something like that.
Well, you did what?
Oh, they
Just
you know, they
taking his
come to your
time, or-
window, they take your license, they tell you they're gonna go check on a few things, and then they just make you sit there.
Well,
Yeah.
a lot of Game Boy, play a little Tetris, you know, make some
Well,
phone calls.
even more recently, so my husband works in South Jersey, and he works at a group home in one of those very rural areas, and he used to drive a 350Z. So he, worked overnight. So he's going to work 10 o'clock at night, Cop stops him for going 5 miles over the speed limit. So he's like, all right, take my ticket, whatever. The next night, same cop stops him for going under the speed limit.
Huh?
Nights later, cop stops him, and he's like, well, I wasn't going under or over. And the cop was like, oh, I figured a guy like you in a car like this would be speeding.
Wow.
So it's literally the same cop. And he knows the
can
car. He knows that there is a group home there. Like, what other reason would you be in that area at 10:30 at night, unless you were going to work? So he's like, it happened like that over and over again with the same cop. And he's like, dude, you literally just stopped me. Like, you were
remember
the
he
one.
did?
Yeah.
The cop
So-
didn't remember he had stopped him?
Oh, of course the cop remembered.
I'm sure the cop remember, because you're going to remember a
Well,
car
yeah,
like
you got-
that. It's a 350Z, it's black, it's got carbon fiber, it's got exhaust. Like, there is no other reason for you to stop this car. So now he takes the very long way to work, changed cars, like literally like got rid of that car and drives something else.
That's crazy that he has to do that. That's crazy.
Like,
Yeah, and
that's-
this is
crazy.
the, I mean, this
Well,
is
that's US.
this is all the kind of racism that we talk about in the Black Lives Matter movement, that we talk about, that Antifa talks about, that the rioters and protesters talk about, and we're still talking about it. Why are we still talking about this? I don't understand what's so hard to recognize here. I don't understand how many times we have to tell these stories. Why do we have to continually tell these stories?
Because the people that write the laws and are in control of these officers have the same views. It really is that simple. Until the views of these officers become outrageous to the people that control these officers, it's not going to stop.
Mm-hmm.
It's not complicated. It's not dramatic. It really is that simple. It's that simple. If I'm okay with you harassing people of color over and over again, I'm not going to write you up. I'm not going to give you any kind of punishment for it. And the next guy that gets promoted is like that. And the next guy, and the next guy. And we hire within our ranks. We hire with people that we do nepotism. And everybody within that circle is on the same level. It's never going to stop. It doesn't matter if 3 or 4 cops on the force have a problem with it. If 18 or 35 or 45 don't. Especially the sergeant and the captain and the lieutenant and the commissioner. You have to change the mindset of these people that are in control. And until you do that, it's never going to stop. Never going to stop. Stop making it complicated. Stop making it, oh, watch. It's that simple, because you're with it, because it's not an issue for you. That's it.
And I think a lot of people, with aside from now that, they had nothing else to do during quarantine other than to watch the news, but like, they're finally seeing, hearing these stories. Like, my brothers have stories, my oldest brother is a security guard at the Salem nuclear power plant. He was like, yep, I was getting stopped almost every day going to work. He had like a little, sporty type of car. He was like, I bought a pickup truck. They never bothered me again. Like, it was
Damn shame.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Damn
you
shame.
shouldn't. He kept telling us, like, look, you gotta get a pickup truck. Like, they'll leave you alone. Like, no one will, I suspect that, you're. I've heard people who have had really nice cars that they put a teddy bear in the back, so that way the cop thinks that they're a family man. Like,
Wow.
you shouldn't have to do all this extra
Wow.
stuff.
I used to, back when I was a kid, I used to work for McDonald's, and I work for McDonald's in Blackwood, and every cop on their shift goes to the McDonald's in Blackwood. So we all, the whole entire crew, literally put our hats in our back windows, because if you had your hat in your back window, a cop wasn't going to mess with you because they know you control their food.
Exit all the way over there, really?
That's kind of crazy. I mean, I guess that's why people always put the Fraternal Order of Police sticker on their car, to show that they support, the police. So that way, in case you get stopped, like they won't bother
see,
you.
That infuriates me. It really infuriates me that you have to tap dance or do something to make yourself acceptable. Except drive safely. That's it.
Right. Right.
And people get mad at why you always bringing your experience up in South Korea. I said, because you know what South Korean cops do to me every time they see me every single day for 2 years? Good morning, sir. Do you need any help? Are you lost? Okay, cool. If you need anything, I'll be over here. That's all I want you to do as a police officer.
That's all they really should do.
That's it. That is it. And believe me, nobody stuck out like a 6 foot, dark skinned black dude in South Korea.
Right.
I ain't hard to spot. I wasn't hard to spot. But if that democracy can be like that, and if I can be literally the black dot in the middle amongst thousands of people and not get treated like I'm purple, why can't I do that in my own country?
Right.
That's messed up.
Yep.
That's messed up. They're democratic. They've been around a long time, and they treated people of color with respect at all times. The only racism I went through was on an American army base. That's it. No, I didn't have any problem in South Korea. None. Zero. Zilch.
Right.
Buy me a ticket, I'll go right now.
Yeah, my dad shares stories like that. I mean, even when he first came back from Vietnam and he was waiting for my grandpa to pick him up from the train station. And he's, sitting, I mean, this was, of course, back, during the Civil Rights Movement, but, he's in full uniform sitting at the train station. And of course, the cop comes up like, boy, you can't sit there. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm waiting for my dad to come pick me up. And he's like, no, you have to move. So like my dad literally like in uniform, like they didn't care. He was like, I was over in Vietnam, and they treated me better, outside of the base, in South, Vietnam, than, he got treated here on, American soil. And, he's got the stories too, like driving and you get stopped, pulled over, for, speeding or what have you, or just in a, one of those speed traps, and officer says, sir, can you pull out your wallet? And my dad goes to pull out his wallet and the cop goes for his gun. My dad was like, I put my hands on the steering wheel and said, sir, you asked me to pull out my wallet. I'm going to pull out my wallet. That's all I'm going to do. You asked me to do it. And the cop was like, well, I don't know if you're reaching for anything. Like,
I'm reaching for what you told me to reach for, you
like,
boob.
And this is where people get confused when they say, well, you should have just complied. Compliance could have got him shot.
So I'm bringing up on the screen the some of the photos from Kenosha from last night and this morning. Apparently the cops are still quote unquote looking for this kid, but
wow.
he's a 17-year-old Blue Lives Matter militia member who was carrying a long rifle.
Buy him a burger, probably.
Huh?
Looking to go buy him a burger, probably.
Yeah.
Do we find it odd that he's wearing gloves? Is he trying to hide fingerprints?
I have no idea.
Fingerprints and gunshot residue.
Yeah.
I know what he's doing.
So he shot 2 people.
Wow.
And killed 2 people. He shot one in the head. And
they can't find him.
Well, yeah, of course the cops can't find him.
It's not even like it's not even clear.
Yeah.
Which you expect you to believe you found a Unabomber off a payphone voice recognition. I don't think so, buddy. Just saying. I'm just saying. You have a digital photo of this guy. You can enhance that and find him. He's not very bright. He's not very bright. He's wearing a green shirt, jeans, and a big black machine gun. But you can't find him.
With his hat backwards. So he's not even having like the cat, covering his face. Like nothing is covering his face.
Well, I'm not going to share the video, but in the video of him running away from the scene, what happened, as far as I can make out from reports that I'm reading on Facebook or on Twitter and whatnot, is that the kid is a member of a militia, and he was he was counter protesting, and for some reason shot somebody in the head, and then fled the scene. And then after he fled the scene, several of the protesters, because this is Wisconsin, who were also armed, followed him to try and detain him. And as they caught up with him, he shot 3 more protesters who were trying to detain him, one of whom had a weapon in his hand. He shot that man in the arm. He shot another 2 unarmed protesters, and killed another person at that scene, at that location. And if you watch the video, he's running literally towards the police line. So he shoots.
And what are the police doing?
Oh, they're just
not
standing
going
there.
to shoot him, of course, right?
No, they're just standing there. I mean, they're
Probably
half a
just
block
opened up
away.
the line and let him go through. Like,
Yeah, they're half a block away. So I from my understanding,
I got my head ripped off a week ago when someone said, "Well, I'm hearing all this bad stuff with the police and blah blah." You are delusional if you are an American and you're afraid of the police department. I said, I am delusional if I'm afraid of the police department. I said, I have friends of the cops that I've known most of my life, but I still have a serious fear against the officers that I don't know. And the 588 victims and counting this year alone reinforces that fear. So how am I delusional? There's actual data to back that up. That's not that's realistic.
Like, I know, like, from taking, gun control courses or whatever, how often are they trained and how extensive is their training when they're given a gun? Like...
Police officers?
Yeah.
Extensive. The cops that I'm cool with that see this stuff that goes on, like the gentleman that was shot in the back. Mm-hmm. He says if he's unarmed and there are 2 of us and one of us is a big guy, one of us is a little guy, or merely, we can take him down without shooting him.
Mm-hmm.
They train you for that.
Right.
They do. It's not like, oh, I've never heard of round fighting. Yeah, you have, because UFC instructors also train the military and the police officers.
Right.
You're not a fight on the ground. You're not a fight against the fence. You're not a fight in close quarters, big rooms, small rooms. You have to train for that stuff because you're eventually going to get into an altercation where you don't have your firearm within reach. You have to think about that because your life depends on it. So you can't tell me that 5 or 6 cops can't take down one guy walking away with his back turned.
Right.
But
I'm not trained, but I'm taking you down if you come to my house.
I mean, even if he drove away, though, like, what would be the harm in letting him drive away? You have his description, you have his license plate number, you have the description of his Jeep. Like, you have all this. Like, let him go. Like, you'll find him later. Like, what's the purpose of the gun at that point?
Kill him.
Yeah, there is no purpose. And what happens is, like, here in Wisconsin, you get people defending the people who shot people in cold blood because they're cops or because they support cops. And then you've got, there are hundreds of people on Twitter right now defending this kid, saying, oh, that he was just exercising his self-defense rights. Well, he wasn't exercising his self-defense rights when he shot somebody in the head.
People.
But they weren't even trying to shoot him. It's not even like, what are you defending yourself against? When you take a gun course, you are not to shoot unless you have absolutely no other recourse.
Exactly.
So that doesn't even fly with me. Like, unless I literally feel like you are coming at me and I'm going to die, and if I don't kill you, I will die, that's the only time I will shoot you.
Right.
That's the only time I'm supposed to shoot you, to be honest.
But
I only have a rifle for the house. I don't carry a gun. Right. I have a rifle for the house. That's it. You come in the house, it's on. But other than that, I don't have a gun on me.
But aren't there laws about how you can use that? Don't you have to be aggressed?
Right.
Not,
You know what I
not
mean?
necessarily.
No?
If you're in a store and the guy in front of you is robbing the store, when you see the gun, that is a threat. Then you can actually use force then because the threat is visible. You have to wait for him to turn around and point the gun at you. But you can't just walk outside your porch and shoot somebody because they took your parking spot. That's not how this works. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, yeah. There was no reason for that to shoot anyone. Especially with his back turned, let him drive away. I mean, in a lot of these instances, a lot of people, there's no visible or physical threat. So there's no need to shoot. They have a Batman belt. Like, they have all these other resources on their belt, and they have to go and
tasers and military-grade mace and batons that really do hurt. I've been hit before. Right. They really do hurt. You have
to use a gun.
Arm locks and wrist locks. You don't have to use a chokehold. If someone, I've taken Aikido before. If someone puts you in an arm lock, you're going to stop doing what you're doing. It hurts a lot. A lot. Trust me. So you don't have to kill someone. You don't have to do that. You don't have to. You don't.
Like you said, Cheryl, too, like, why don't you just let him drive away?
Right. Right.
We can find...
They can find him.
We can find you, you know?
Right. Because mentally there's a fear that's not being discussed.
You know what?
If you have that fear, you don't need to be an officer of the law.
I don't even think it's a fear. I feel like, and there's a couple of other things that I've seen, it's that disrespect. I feel like they felt like they were disrespected. How dare you turn your back on me?
That's what gangbangers do, though. Now you're a gangbanger. You're supposed to be a cop.
Cop, gangbanger, same thing.
But see, I don't have a problem with cops. I don't consider the people that do this police officers. You're a criminal. That's what you are. You're a murderer. You're not a police officer.
Right.
Because the oath you took, you're not sticking to that. So once you break that oath, you're no longer an officer of the law. You're just a gangbanger, like you said. Yeah.
Speaking of oaths, Kyle Rittenhouse, the kid who shot 2 people in Kenosha last night, has on his Facebook profile duty, honor, courage, Blue Lives Matter.
Wow.
And so yeah, if I'm sure Kyle's not watching this, but if you know, if you actually believe those things, if you actually believe in duty and honor and courage, your duty right now is to turn yourself the fuck in.
So they have his name. They know all this stuff about him, and they can't get him.
Yeah, no.
Is he like on the run, or?
No, there's video of him literally walking through the police line with his hands up, and then the police rushing past him to the scene of the second murder, with all the protesters yelling that he had just shot somebody, and them ignoring the protesters and checking on the person on the ground.
Wow.
Because he didn't fit the description, right? Is that
Right.
why they took completely, like, was he like, had like the, like in a cartoon, put on the lotion that makes you disappear, like, oh my.
Wow.
Yeah, in this case, being white was the lotion that made him disappear.
I literally, like, this is, it's comical, but it's like really kind of fucked up. Excuse my language.
It is.
But
no, yeah. that language fits. That fits.
Yeah.
They should really use that same language on newscasts. Like, today something fucked up happened. I will watch CNN all the time. They can talk like that. Like, CNN is awesome now.
Man, I don't even know what to say about that.
And my question, whenever stuff like this happens, like, most of the time when we go to war, poor people have to go first. Most of those people are minorities. Now, you want me to go to fight for you when you let stuff like this happen? Huh?
Right. I mean, that was Muhammad Ali's whole thing.
Yeah, that was Muhammad Ali. You're channeling Muhammad Ali right there.
Yeah. Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke. There's a whole lot of brothers who's like, I don't think so. The Panthers like, no, I'm good.
No.
Oh, welcome, China. It's the white building down the street with the dude that talk a lot of trash in. Yeah.
we got 6 minutes left in the broadcast, and I just wanted to touch on two other things. Latent effects of redlining. So this week, a couple of city council members have been pushing some reports, environmental reports that are showing how a lot of the heat deserts in Philadelphia are areas that were previously redlined, previously turned into specifically black-only areas, and then ignored and underfunded, and they have a much higher density of blacktop and concrete, and much lower density of trees and greenery. I live in one of those previously redlined areas, and like one of the first things I did when I moved in was get a street tree, much to the chagrin of my block captain. So my block captain, who's lived here for like 50 years, hates street trees, and she's like,
Hates trees?
yeah, she hates them.
Why?
Because she says they break up the sidewalk and that they cause problems.
Well, I mean, they have to get pretty big to do that. I mean, you need like
serious oak
like
tree
100.
or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of roots.
Does she hate kittens too?
Yeah,
She probably hates
and coffee.
I'm pretty sure she hates kittens too.
She's a good person.
I mean,
she loves a lot of things.
She hates
But
kittens too. The judges are saying, yeah, she hates kittens too. Yeah.
I've never heard that.
so yeah, so
Trees,
Weirdo.
right? Like,
What?
I mean, there are politically active people in this city who have dumb ideas sometimes. And I try and call them out, but then I look like the crazy person all the time. So
it's like
Oh, like
insane.
trees.
Everybody's looking for trees.
Right, you know?
I mean, they do
it spruces up
spruces things up. It adds
gives
lots
it a little
of
bit of color and pop and
things into the air.
well, it
Yeah.
also
That's the
shades
book
the
I talk about
front and front of a house and protects the street
Yeah.
from wind,
And
but
lowers your electricity. You know, there's a
Nope, don't like them. Sorry.
she hates them. She's mad that I have
I like-
mine.
wow.
I'm
And-
literally picturing her coming out of her house, looking like rolling out her window and stopping in front of your crib, like, goddamn tree.
I feel like it's like
cuts it
that
off.
commercial with the black captain is like cutting like the
Yeah, she's
mailbox
cutting the
like
limbs
2
off.
inches too high, like
We had
I
a
would
socially
cut myself.
distanced
I would paintball her.
we had a socially distanced block meeting, and she
Put the dumpster there.
she was complaining about the other street tree next door has a street tree too, and she was complaining about it because it has a couple little sprouts growing out of the ground, and the branches are too low to open your door on your car if you're parked next to it. So
Wow.
luckily mine grew up a little bit faster than that, but
move the car.
Gotta go park, guys. I'll talk to y'all later.
all right,
right.
thanks, Jay.
Bye.
And then I also wanted to talk about so somebody commented on YouTube. I actually understand her feeling. I lived in Mount Airy, and yes, the trees look great, but then there are many that break up the concrete, further destroying the foundation. It's true.
Yeah, but those are pretty old trees, probably, if they're out in Mount Airy. I mean, it is true. It does create some problems, but I mean, we've got, probably, very old trees on the block, and yeah, but
I don't know. I like
I
them.
guess it's the maintenance of it,
yeah.
Yeah. It's an investment. It's an investment in any other aspect of your home. You're not going to have a roof that lasts you 150 years without you doing something for it.
Right.
And it so changes just the whole experience of coming down your street,
Yeah.
Right.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about in the last minute here is homelessness. I'm going to kind of skip through the way I wanted to approach it, but The city fought a lawsuit brought by Michael Huff and some of the organizers of the PHA encampments. And the city unfortunately won the initial lawsuit, so there's been no stay against the city evicting the tent encampments, Camp Teddy, Camp JTB, and the encampment behind the art museum. With 72 hours notice now, the city could evict any of those camps. The judge did rule that the city was required to give 72 hours notice, which was possibly the only good thing to come out of that ruling. Yeah, this is all me being very opinionated about it. So, but I don't know if people in the area can't be empathetic for some reason, but y'all are 2 months away from being out in a tent too. Like, this COVID isn't over. The downturn to the economy isn't over. They just yanked $600 a week out of the economy for every person that's unemployed, which is something like 40% of the country's workforce right now.
I mean, being homeless is not a crime either. It's not, yeah. There's no empathy for what they're not going through at the time. Now, as soon as they are homeless, they'll be like, oh, I can't have my tent here. It doesn't matter until it affects them.
Yeah.
Which is a shame,
I guess.
And is the real argument just that makes them uncomfortable, or that it's a blight, or
because it's not like there's a high crime.
I was going to say, is the museum open?
No. They're talking about doing some upkeep to the gardens to reopen for events, but yeah. I believe the current argument being argued by the head of the Community Development Corporation up there is that it's unsanitary. The encampment is unsanitary. Contrary to every single picture I've seen of the encampment. But.
Right. It seems to be very organized, and I've seen worse here in Philadelphia. Like, it's just in the non-internment, camps or whatever. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, walking by that area over the weekend,
it doesn't, right, like, it doesn't
it's not
seem
reading
like it's out of control.
No, and it doesn't read as really...
There's accusations of folks being aggressively panhandling, quote-unquote, aggressive panhandling. I mean,
they do it all over the city, not just there, and they're not aggressive. I mean, I drive by that area. Like, it's not...
Yeah,
like, every time I come to work, like, it's not that bad.
I don't know what to say. I mean, like, I'm completely on the side of the folks who are unhomed right now.
Right.
Admittedly, they're not living, across the street from me right at the moment. But I mean, there's a parking lot that isn't being used by the school behind us. So, I don't know. I don't know why the city can't find a place that isn't being used. The PHA's lot isn't being used. The Camp Teddy lot, it isn't being used. Why is this such a violation to them? Why is this such a... Why are they going to go counter to the CDC, counter to advice from everybody, and try and break up an encampment in the middle of a pandemic?
Right. No heart.
And so, along with that, there's the fact that in 5 days the foreclosure moratorium expires, but the thanks, Cheryl.
Yeah.
The
Bye.
foreclosure moratorium expires in 5 days, but the state legislature is not back until the 8th of September. Yeah.
Yeah. The fact
I-
that they went out and these things were not resolved feels like extraordinary on some level.
Yeah, it feels like a violation of the trust of them to be state legislatures, to be leaders. I'm working with the Philadelphia Unemployment Project, as I've mentioned many times before. So if folks are having any sort of housing anxiety or having trouble accessing their unemployment, please check out the website, and I'm going to post it in the chats, but it's https philaup.org, philaup.org, or you can go to facebook.com/philaup, and that will take you there. Check out the websites, check out the Facebook. We're posting stuff and holding information sessions online. Actually, in about an hour, I'm going to be at Maria Quinones Sanchez's LIHEAP event with 2 other members of the Philadelphia Unemployment Project, and we're going to be helping people apply for PMAP, helping people with their unemployment, and mostly just collecting information right now. But the mission of Philadelphia Unemployment Project is to help people navigate government systems. So if folks have internet problems, obviously they're not going to see this broadcast, but if you know somebody who could use help, and they have very little internet, or they're down on their luck, or whatever, get them in touch with us. Lend them your cell phone. Phone number's on the website. But I actually had to argue with with a person on Facebook the other day. We're actually answering the phone, so yes, we're available. Yeah, my phone, my actual cell phone, rings from the office phone, so give us a call. I just wanted to thank you again for joining us, and sorry we ran a little bit over there. I hope you enjoyed coming online with us. And any last thoughts, Tina?
No, just thanks for having me, and thanks for continuing to illuminate the conversations that need to happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on.
Thanks for all you're doing.
No problem. Thank you again to all my guests. Our regular guests, Jay and Cheryl. Really appreciate them always coming on and providing their voice. Hopefully next week I'm talking with a writer that has been fighting City Hall for the past couple of weeks, and I would like to. I hope to have him as a guest on next week. It's been a little interesting. Some of the stuff going back and forth. Basically, the office of the mayor didn't like what he wrote about the encampments, and so we're gonna at least have his side of the story. I have an open invitation for the office of the mayor to join us. Any representative of the office of the mayor can join us. This isn't a huge broadcast, so the stakes are low, but we'd love to get your feedback on why the office of the mayor seems to be handing out misinformation like candy lately. But yeah, If you like what you've seen, please click the like button, click the share button, click the subscribe button. I don't know how all these things work. I'm a theater person, so we are on Facebook, facebook.com/LightThiefProductions. We're on YouTube, the same, youtube.com/LightThiefProductions. And you can also find us on Periscope, also Light Thief Productions, and that is rebroadcast to Twitter regularly on my personal account. And we're also on Mob Crush, Raven Eyes on Mob Crush, and Twitch, Raven Eyes on Twitch as well. So I'll probably consolidate those in the next few weeks, but a little bit busy. So thank you again for everyone joining, and please tune in next week, and hope you all have a great week.